How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Crafted Cars. Happy Tuesday. Now today, I actually wasn't expecting to make this video, but one of my cars broke down on me in my driveway. My 1992 Dodge Stealth RT, just the front wheel drive model, so luckily it's a little easier to work on. But what happened was, I went to move the car out of its parking spot and the clutch just went right to the floor and I couldn't get into gear. I mean, the clutch pedal felt super spongy. Now it's a little better today because I think it warmed up a little bit, but let me show you what I'm talking about. We take a look in the car here. I apologize for the wind noise. You can see I push the clutch down and it very slowly comes back up. Like I said, it was much worse the other day. Now, if you look where that master cylinder rod goes through the firewall, you can see there's a little moisture there. So it looks like we might have had a very slow leak that just got worse over time. Now today, I'm gonna be replacing the master cylinder as well as the slave cylinder, and that should fix my issue. Probably don't have to replace them both, but just for the sake of maintenance, I'd like to get them both swapped out and get some fresh fluid in there. Now I believe to get at the slave cylinder, I gotta remove this intake arm here, so we'll do that first. There it is. All right, so that little guy down there is like a little dampener that helps kind of disengage and engage the clutch a little smoother. And the slave cylinder itself is right there. I'm gonna pop that cap off, loosen up that bleeder valve, and suck all the fluid out of the system first. A little penetrating oil doesn't hurt. I got my flare nut wrench on there. Let's everybody pray together now. Nice. With the fluid sucked out, we should be good to disconnect the hard lines off the clutch master cylinder without making too much of a mess. So the best way to get at those is with a crow's foot adapter. I got one right here. Now if you want to completely remove the clutch master cylinder, you got to come inside, remove these two nuts here. Got one on the bottom and then one on the top here. The one on the top's a little tricky to get at. For both of these, you're going to need a extension, a 12mm, and a socket swivel. Then there's just a little clip there you got to pull out, and we should be able to remove this thing from the top. There we go. And now we're ready to wrestle the new one in there. There we go. Let's bolt it back up. There we are. And there we are. Now I'm thinking for the slave cylinder, the easiest way for me to get it out is remove those two bolts up top there and then that hard line. That'll give me access to the two bolts holding on the slave cylinder right about there. Oops. Looks like it was leaking around that banjo fitting there and from the boot. Both these nuts are kind of rounded off, so I'll probably just make myself a new line. Actually, scratch that idea. Instead of making a new hard line, this would be a good opportunity to delete that little dampener box. This guy. So what I'll do is I'll unclip it from the factory rubber line right there, and then I'll unscrew it from that box, and then I'll take this fitting here and I'll connect it directly to the slave cylinder. People say that makes the clutch feel much better. So now I can throw this in the trash. So now we just got to figure out how we want to bend this line so that when we install our slave cylinder, this goes into this hole real nice. Well guys, we actually pulled it off. I got the hard line ran
And there's the hard line going into the slave cylinder, going back into the factory rubber hose.
So after putting everything back together, I refilled the system with some fresh .3 brake fluid. I had my fiance help me bleed it because my vacuum bleeder wasn't working very good. But the last thing you're gonna wanna do is go for a test drive, or if your pedal has a lot of play in it before engaging, you're gonna wanna adjust that first. So basically you want about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of free play. So if you look at it from the side, it should only really go back and forth about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch before it gets a little bit harder to push. But as you can see, comes right back now. Now to adjust the free play in the clutch and the engagement point, what you're gonna wanna do is crack that nut loose there. So I just use a 1/2 inch wrench for that. I was able to turn the rod by hand, and if you can't do that, you can just use like a pliers or vice grips or something. So if you're facing the firewall and you turn that rod clockwise, it'll take a little free play out of the clutch and it'll raise the engagement point, so your clutch will bite with the pedal a little bit higher. And if you go the opposite direction, where you turn the rod counterclockwise, where it's slowly spinning towards the driver, you'll have a little bit more free play in your clutch pedal, and your clutch will engage a little bit closer to the floor. But now, as you can see, with the clutch in, I can shift into all the gears just fine. So the clutch is now fully disengaged. So I took the car for a test drive and it feels way better than before. I don't know if it's just having the new components in there or just getting that damper deleted, but it's much smoother and my engagement point is actually a lot higher. I think mostly because I got all that sponginess out of the pedal. Now, I have some cool stuff for the Stealth coming up here. I got a new front pipe for it. I talked in the past, my flange was leaking on the old front pipe, but we repaired that. But shortly after, my flex pipe started leaking really bad. So this 3SX front pipe should change that. We're gonna get this installed, see if it changes the sound at all. I almost have my Legend back on the ground. I got the transmission put back in there. So now I just gotta give it some fresh fluids. We'll be able to drive that. And then we got a huge project coming up. I know I've been saying it like the last couple of videos, but this weekend I'm actually taking delivery of a new project. So you're definitely not gonna wanna miss it. It's gonna be the longest and largest build series I've ever done. So thank you guys for tuning in to Crafting Cars, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.